I mean, the real question, I guess, is can you keep up with the rate of growth of NFTs on Solana or stable coins on Tron? Because these are growing super rapidly. And I guess that's ultimately your challenge, right? Is to try to keep up with these networks over the next 24 months.
Yes. So I think the so we fully realize that some of these networks are bigger in terms of the amount of capital locked in DeFi or the amount of NFT activity and so on. But we feel like we bring something very unique to the table, like in the sense that for any blockchain system, your total size of the economy is approximately limited by the market cap of that project, right? Because in Ethereum, you're locking up ETH mostly in DeFi. Yes, you can lock up stable coins as well, and they can add to the capital. But on a first approximation, it's kind of like the market cap of that ecosystem. And for a new ecosystem, like relatively new, let's say if you're in the single-digit billion-dollar market caps, like there's a reason why the biggest smart contract on Stacks right now has $1 billion blocks, because most of the capital right now is STX capital. STX is gas for smart contracts. So we have a two-layer system. Bitcoin is sound money, and STX is gas. Whereas in Ethereum has a little bit of tension of like, is it sound money or is it gas, right? Because they have both on the same system, and that is a fundamental tension because the smart contract component asks for more complexity in the Ethereum base layer, whereas the sound money aspect wants it to not change and be predictable, right? So in my mind, the two-layer system is more cleaner. Bitcoin can remain to be sound money, not change, and Stacks could be the gas for smart contracts. But the big unlock for us is really there's work in the pipeline for this year where we directly unlock a lot of Bitcoin capital to pour into DeFi and NFTs directly. And then your theoretical limit goes from like a few $1 billion to $1 trillion, right? There's a ton of, most of the Bitcoin capital is passive, right? Only 1% of Bitcoin is wrapped as wrapped BTC on Ethereum right now. 99% of it is not. And I think those are the floodgates, right? Like where suddenly, the stablecoin collateral could be in BTC, and then you could have a much larger market cap for that stablecoin. And it's a little bit like there's a flywheel effect that happens because, and this happened with Ethereum as well, where people were deploying ETH capital into smart contracts, and that was helping kind of like grow the value of Ethereum because it was becoming a productive asset. And as ETH becomes more valuable, you can attract more developers and build more smart contracts, and it's like a flywheel, right? Like ETH keeps becoming more valuable and you have more capital to deploy. And interestingly, Bitcoin doesn't have that flywheel, but we are kind of like sparking it right now, right? Like as people would be able to deploy BTC and start earning yields there, Bitcoin will become more valuable because Bitcoin will be perceived as a productive asset at that point. And so many big players, like you mentioned, like Michael Saylor, or companies who have Bitcoin on their balance sheets would be able to actually earn money on BTC. So they're much more likely to hold BTC. They're much more likely to acquire more Bitcoin. And then the flywheel effect starts then. And that developers would be like, look, there's $1 trillion of capital available, and I can actually go and build an application for it, right? So I feel like Bitcoin is at a very unique spot right now. It is still the #1 cryptocurrency. And there is already technology now, Stacks, that can help it jumpstart into the smart contract world. And I almost feel like I want to inspire the Bitcoin community. I don't want to scare them. But part of me does feel that if they don't do this, there is a pretty significant chance that you're going to get left behind, right? Because I do think that the market for smart contracts could be much, much bigger, because you're talking about the whole internet economy, right? And that is much bigger than just gold. That's already the case. Like the entire market cap of gold is much smaller than the market cap of the internet economy.